there's magic with getting in the room. Everybody say, get in the room, get in the room, get in the room, get in the room. And the beautiful thing is when you get into rooms like this, not only are you able to get tremendous value from being inside the community, but how many of you guys realize that we have awesome talent inside the community, right? So we've got these amazing experts that are inside the community. And so sometimes we sit down, we have lunch, we have great conversations, but then there ends up becoming these shifts in the change. So what was really cool is Cliff was at a place in his business is growing, it's scaling, but he's starting to feel like, man, you know what? Things are out of whack. We're not fully got our accounting. We don't have a full accounting strategy. He's like, what am I doing? He's venting about this, not realizing that Yasna's in the community with him. She gets an opportunity to meet with him and completely shifts everything on the financial aspect for his business and how the reporting is done and how they're able to track and know everything that's going on. And so for a lot of us as entrepreneurs, like even if you get good at being able to make the money, what happens is for a lot of entrepreneurs is they don't know how to be able to make sure that they're actually getting the profit. So here's the great thing for us is I told you guys I had the opportunity to meet the author of the book, right, Profit First. And the beautiful thing is he has had taken time to actually train people to be certified in his framework. So inside of our community, we have somebody who is certified Profit First, certified, right? Also, Clockwork, right, which is another framework, certified. Also, in her business, over the past couple years, she's generated over $1 million in her business over the past couple years. Everybody follow me on this? Yes or yes? And then she's helped other entrepreneurs to be able to make sure that they can recapture the profit and the revenue that is inside of their business. And so I was like, well, one thing I know is that for so many of us, we're like, man, I want to be able to make the money, make the money, make the money, make the money. But most of the people have no idea how to not only make the money, but actually to make sure that they can keep and manage the money. Is everybody with me on that? Yes or yes? Right? So we are so super excited to have one of our very, very own in the building, right, that is going to go ahead and break down for us a couple of things. Number one, how we can go ahead and be able to keep the profit inside of our business. Number two, to make sure, everybody say value. To make sure that you understand your personal value so that you can make sure that you're showing up properly inside of your business. Everybody with me on that? Yes or yes? And to make sure that you're actually paying attention to things and laying down the foundation. Now, here's what happens to most entrepreneurs. When they finally learn this stuff, it's after they have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because this is the stuff that they were supposed to learn in the first place. Everybody got me on that? Yes or yes, right? So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and make sure you have the right foundation so that as you're making the money, you also know how to be able to keep the money. Who wants to make money and keep the money? Yes or yes? Everybody say profit. Everybody say profit first. Profit first. All right, if you're ready to make some profit first, I want you to stand up on your feet, give a very loud round of applause to our only one and only Yasna Montalvo. Give her more energy than that. Come on, man. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. Come on. Yes.
Let's dance together.
She's instructing y'all. Do the moves. Let's go. Let's go. Y'all gotta learn this that flavor. I love it. I love it. Yes, man. Here's your clicker as well. Here's your clicker, and you can just click that up. I think my cup's in front, but you'll click that up. Hey, Tori, make sure that clicker's working for her. No,
I told him, surprise me with the music because I dance anything. And I love that music. I love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you all for getting to dance with me. Wow, what can I tell you? I'll tell you a little story of what happened yesterday and how it all is represented today. But before, I want you all to think about and remember. Do you remember about your very first paycheck? Like, was it an internship, a part-time job? You remember getting that paycheck? I remember when I got my first paycheck, it was back in Cuba. I was doing an internship and I was studying information technology. Mind you, that was Cuba. I was studying IT and I didn't even have a computer, but that was that, right? And I remember it was like 5 of my friends, we went and we made the line, and they give us the cash, like payday, baby. Is the first paycheck in my life, and they give me cash in my hand. So what we do as friends, or 5 of us, we go and get pizza. And we really had an amazing time. But not only the pizza, after the pizza, we go to an ice cream shop. Mind you, in Cuba, this ice cream place, only people like tourists or people that could afford it could go and enjoy that ice cream, right? But we got paid, so we go. And they had the vanilla and the strawberry and the chocolate, and that's it. You know, it was Cuba. But that was a lot back then. So instead of me getting the single cone, I get the bowl, and I get all 3 flavors, and the vanilla, and the ice cream, and the chocolate, and I really, really enjoy that ice cream using my very first paycheck. After that, we go to this style of market, like farmer's market type of place in Cuba. And then we just spend the afternoon going around and shopping and just doing our thing. It was an amazing day. By the end of the day, when we got together and we're just saying bye to each other, I have a friend of mine ask me, Yasnai, how much money you have left? And I'm like, let me check. I checked my purse. I had nothing, not $1. Well, it wasn't dollar, the Cuban peso, you know. I didn't have anything. And then he asked me, how much you have? How much you have? Out of 5 of us, only 1 person had money. And he was the smart one. And I'm like, well, how come you have money? Didn't you go and get the pizza and the ice cream? And we went to the farmers too. You got stuff. How much you have money? And he said, well, when I got my money, I put half of it in my pocket, and I didn't touch that one. I just used half. And I'm like, but did you eat the pizza and the ice cream and all the thing? Like, was that enough? He made it happen. And I'm like, how come? He said, you know, my grandma taught me this. My grandma, she has these envelopes that she just hides money. And she just puts the money for the food in the envelope, and when we go buy the food, she just uses that money. And that's the trick. So, and I'm like, wow, I wish my grandma, I don't think my grandma knows that, but I didn't learn that trick. And it made me think how that applies to entrepreneurship. Like, I got my invoice paid, yay! And then a day later, you're like, where's the money? Because you get the invoice, then you start paying bills, and all of a sudden, I'm like, where is the money? Now, let me tell you, this Profit First thing, Mike, great guy. I know him personally. I've learned so much from him, but he didn't create this system. You know, grandmas were doing it back in the days with envelopes and hiding things under the mattress. You know, just protecting the money from ourselves. He just popularized it. He adapted it to the small business community. He's a great storyteller. And he actually trademarked the thing, and it's a big thing. Now, it's an amazing system. And when I learned about it, a lot of things in my business shifted. So today, I want to bring you these tools. Now, this is family. I will be very honest with you. Yesterday, it was 6 p.m., and I was reviewing the slides, getting ready to send it to Andy's assistant. And as I was going through this, I'm like, this doesn't flow. Like, no, this is not it. 6 p.m., I started changing everything in my presentation. Like, crazy stuff. I told my team member, I'm gonna work on this, please wake up early tomorrow so you can, I went to bed at 3:30 in the morning last night. And that's why I wasn't here in the morning, because I was like, I need to get some rest and then, pack and another thing. Have you ever been in this situation, like you have a presentation and then you change things at the last minute? Like, is it only me? No? Because when I told Andy, was like, of course you did. Of course you did. But the reality is, on one side in my mind, like we have these voices. I was listening to one side and that voice said, what are you doing just now? Like, why are you letting the perfectionist in you take over? Go to sleep. It's okay. But on the other side, I'm like, no, this is information and that is so important and it needs to flow because I'm $1 million storyteller. So say it, everybody. I'm $1 million storyteller. And the presentation needs to reflect that. So thank you. And I gave you that context just so for you to bear with me, because I might or might not have forgotten the order of the slides because I just changed them. So I might be referring to the thing once in a while. Just bear with me, okay? So I'll tell you more about this later and how it relates to my journey. Before we go any further, I want to ask you a few questions. Who would like to take home more money from their business? Raise your hand if you want to take more money from your business. Yes? Who feels like you're working hard, but your profit is still inconsistent? Raise your hand if you have that feeling. Yes? And who suspects that you might not be charging what your services are truly worth? Raise your hand. And if yes, and I see most of you did. And the reality is, if you raise your hand, you are in the right place. We are in this community. We are in the right place. But I want to tell you that working harder is not necessarily the answer. And I think I'm covering the thing. I'm going to move this because, again. Okay. So working harder is not always the answer to make more profit in your business. And that's why today I want to cover with you how to increase profitability, how to do it without having to earn more clients. Because the reality is, sometimes we're trying to make more profit, and then we make more sales, and then like, okay, I'm gonna take this more client because this is gonna bring me the profitability, and the time doesn't add up, right? I want to show you why revenue alone is not the answer. I've seen in my experience working with clients, like I go behind the curtains, you guys. I see the numbers, the reality of the businesses, and I see multiple seven-figure dollar businesses, and they're not making a profit. That's the reality behind the scenes when you're talking to the accountant, right? So I want to give you those 3 invisible drivers that typically influence that, and I want to help you make your profit more predictable. Make the profit predictable instead of being just an accident, right? That's what we're here for. Now, as Andy framed it for me, everybody says framing. I learned that, of course, in this community. And when Andy invited me to present, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to remember about the framing of the BPS and the story. But I'm not here to teach you the theory. You can find this information online on ChatGPT. I brought very practical tools. You are going to have the opportunity to actually use your phone in a little bit, use an app to actually get the answers, play with the numbers, and leave here with clarity. So this is not theory. We're going to make this very, very practical, all right? And this works if you give it, I mean, you're here, you're giving it the full attention, but let me tell you, we're going to be stacking information and stacking the answers that you're getting with your numbers. So one thing is going to build from the other. So let's agree on give it your full attention so we can get the best out of it. This is not a set it and forget it system. And whatever you're going to work on here today, you're going to continue applying and improving. And it's a reality of this framework. And at the end, yes, I'm going to share with you how we can work together. I need to apply the MS, what we just learned, the ascension model. But your families, I'm happy to give you more insights on how you can implement this in your business. Now, the important fact is that most service-based businesses, you're generating revenue, as I told you. You can be selling $1 million, but you still don't have a profit. Only a small percentage have built the structure that creates that consistent profitability and that can predict. It's not only about the profit, it's how profit is going to allow you to pay yourself. And I'm going to get to that because most of us start the business trying to replace our income from the full-time job. But if we don't do the right things in our business, you end up working more hours and getting paid less. Your business is designed, and we're going to do the things to design it in a way that you can get paid what you deserve. All right? So that's what we're going to learn today. I want you to imagine waking up and knowing exactly where your money is going. There's a lot of guessing and unpredictability and scrambling. I want you to imagine how that feels. If you wake up and you know where your money is going, if you wake up and you know that profit is happening consistently in your business, and you're not having to add more clients or work more hours or take on the client that you know might not be the right fit, but you're just taking it because it's going to pay the next bill. I've been there. And sometimes it's what it takes, but that's not what's going to make your business successful in the long term. All right? And what would that do for you? And it means it could have different meanings for all of us, right? But what would that do for you, for your stress levels, for your ability to pay yourself consistently, for your freedom? Because that's another thing. Freedom and this concept of financial freedom and time freedom, many of us, and I was there, we leave the job because we want to have more freedom. We don't want to have the boss telling us what to do and at what hours I have to show up. I want to be free. And then you become the slave of your own business. Who is your boss now?
You, you're terrible boss.
Terrible boss, right? So it's very important, and profitability has an impact in all of this. You don't need to work more hours. You don't need to take on more clients. You don't need complicated financial systems. That's also very important because I'm an accountant, but I'm kind of a non-traditional accountant. Yes, we'll get to the technical stuff, but this is simple. You don't need to become a numbers person to see profit in your business. And I gotta tell you the reality behind all of this. Most business owners don't have a revenue problem. You can sell. You're learning even more skills to sell. So selling at some point is not the issue. You have a profit leak problem. And let me bring this home to you. Imagine that your business is this bucket, right? And then water is the revenue in the bucket. What's happening with that water? The water is leaking. Now, these holes in your bucket are profit leaks. And if you don't cover those holes, what's going to happen with the water? Now, most businesses try to add more water in the bucket. You try to sell more. You try to get more clients. You work harder. And then you keep adding water. If you don't cover the holes, the bucket runs dry. We run dry. We're humans, after all, right? So these holes are profit leaks. And today I'm going to show you 3 of the main profit leaks and how to fix them and what are the tools that we can implement together to help you cover these holes. All right? Number 1, flying blind. You're flying blind. You don't fully trust your numbers. You don't fully trust your reports. Even if you have a bookkeeping system, do you even see your reports? It might be the case that you have an accountant, a bookkeeper, the person that you speak to once a year. You send them the bank statements to do your taxes. It's tax season, right? But it's just transactional. It's compliance. I need to get my taxes done. You're flying blind. Have you ever seen a pilot? And my husband is a pilot, by the way. I've never seen my husband go in a plane without doing a flying plan, without looking at the instruments and really understanding how to go to the destination. Without knowing the numbers, we are flying blind. And the consequences, if you don't understand your numbers, you cannot really make confident decisions in your business, data-driven decisions. And yes, our business is very emotional, and most of us started the business with this service, purpose-driven, oriented approach. But if you don't look at the numbers, you're going to end up guessing on pricing, on when to hire, who to hire. Can I afford this investment? Can I invest in this program? And stressing just creates more stress, right? Profit leak number 2. And Andy always is telling us this. Honestly, he keeps telling me as well. I remember a couple of weeks ago when we were in the session and we were talking about the intensive. I was here for the intensive and all this process. And then Andy told me, well, Yasna, if you want to keep Mickey Mouse in your way to success. I'm like, oops. Underpricing. When you're not charging what you're worth. Now, there's a strategy behind it. But maybe you set your rates at the beginning, like it did for me. Some of the clients that I have, we've been working for years, it's this close relationship. But the rates that I set years ago are not even aligned with the level of expertise that I have today. And that applies to you all. Why, if you have more knowledge, more experience, why should they be paying you less if you're making all of that investment in yourself, right? So it could be that maybe you're pricing based on time, based on how many hours, and we're gonna see. You're gonna see in the calculator how this all applies. But this is a profit league too. And the consequences of underpricing, so many consequences, but I couldn't make the list long enough. It's gonna cost you not only the revenue, but it's gonna cost you your freedom. And this hits home for me. I'm gonna tell you what freedom means to me in so many ways, but you're gonna resent those clients that at first, everything, you start a business and everything is like a happy place, right? And then if you don't price correctly, you're gonna end up resenting those clients that you take on in the first place. And it's not their fault that you gave them the wrong price. It's not their fault. So, profit leak number 3 is this profit mystery. And this is what we're gonna get into the profit first system, because this is when the money comes in, the bills get paid, and somehow the $1,000,000 question is, where is the money? Where is the money? I just had a client. She was part of this community, by the way. This is how I met her a couple of years ago. And she sent me a text and said, yeah, I have a question because the profit and loss is showing positive, but I think it should be negative. Like, what is the negative number in the profit and loss? I'm like, I know what you mean. And I know your question right now is, how come I'm gonna pay taxes on a profit that I don't have the money in my bank account? Where is the money? So I'm like, let me send you a Loom video to explain you the balance sheet and where the money went, and we can meet so I can actually explain. But this is the $1,000,000 question, right? So you could be generating the income, but the profit becomes a mystery. And yes, your business might look successful in the outside, but inside, you're just wondering. You're just wondering. So this creates a cycle. This creates a cycle, money coming in, expenses consume everything, the profit, you don't see it, you work harder and the same result. And then the money comes in and the expenses consume everything, no profit, work harder, same result. And money comes in, like, you get the point, right? It's a cycle. It is a cycle. And here is when you decide to break the cycle and face the leaks. Let me see if this works, because I want to share with you. Why is this thing show? Oh, okay. Let's see, I want to play this video. No, but it doesn't show here. Put this mic to it. Mm-hmm. I could put the mic, and can they see it there? I don't think it's playing over there. But it doesn't play there. Okay. Can you hear? No? Okay.
because I, as a single business owner who was literally running every single aspect of the company with a 14 interpreter team and requests that didn't seem to end, which
All right, I'm gonna pause it because it's a little weird listening to a video and not seeing it in the video, but this is Maria Angelica, and I wanted to give you this reference of when she chose to break that cycle, when she chose to cover the leaks on her bucket, right? And let's get, oh, I have to put the slideshow again. This is the things that, as I told you, I went to school
Hello.
for,
My name is Maria Angelica Ramirez,
I-
and
I went to school for IT in Cuba, but that was just, I had to choose something safe while I was planning to come here, and the IT thing never got to me. So, thank you. I didn't even have a computer, so imagine.
Feel bad. I don't know what I'm doing either. Tori or Rudy's not there to help me out.
We have to, oh, because I was doing, maybe I'm doing it. Is that, oh, we have to do the PowerPoint. I think that's the Google. Maybe that's why. So what you guys think about this cycle that we often find ourselves when we are running a business? Have you ever been there? Does that resonate with you? Yes? Yes? We can dish while they fix the computer. Thank you.
Where's the second?
We work?
There you go.
Yay! Yay, yay, yay. So yes, there is a way out. And before we get into the app, Maria Angelica's testimonial, it was more about how she found herself in this place of desperation and lack of hope, right? And I want to tell you in a way why I connect with that so deeply. As you can see here, that's me and my sister back in Cuba. I was born and raised in Cuba. That's where my accent comes from. And my dad left Cuba when I was 7 years old. He actually left in a raft. And it was a journey, 3 days in the sea. He made it alive to the US. And it took us 11 years to reunite the family. 11. And when we did, I came with my mom and my sister, and we went and we opened a business, a convenience store in Little Havana here in Miami. And we went into entrepreneurship having no idea what we were doing. I became this person in my family that I was a translator, the cashier, the inventory management, the HR person. We were just learning, right? And I went to study accounting, not because I liked accounting. Honestly, it was not sexy. But I found it as a way to understand the language of entrepreneurship and to help my parents. I became the catalyst for my parents at a very early age. And that's why the world of entrepreneurship, I get it at a deeper level. Because in that store, we celebrated birthdays. Everything happened in the store. I don't remember a time where we were able to take a vacation together, because sometimes I took time off from my job so my parents could take time off. And I remember when I was going to school, I covered on Sundays. Like, it was, everything in my family revolved around the business, which in a way was a blessing. It was the way for us to put food on the table. But I also saw from the inside how the business can take over your life. And I can also see it from the other standpoint because my parents really inspire me to do what I do today. Uh, 20 years later, they still have the store. They're still working very hard, but it really put me in this path to do things differently. And let me tell you why I chose to do things differently. This is the moment I woke up. Yes, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. The reality is, I didn't want to have a business. I was like, if this is what entrepreneurship is about, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. Because what I had was that experience with my parents. But in 2020, I had my son in the middle of the pandemic. You all know what happened in the pandemic. And the job that I had wasn't giving me the flexibility to work part-time, to just, deal with my maternity situation. And I decided to quit my job. When I quit, the businesses started looking for me to help them organize the numbers, access capital. A lot of businesses needed help in the middle of the pandemic. And that's really how my business started. I didn't plan for it. I just wanted to help. But I found myself in that same place. I remember this day, it was 8 p.m. at night. And I had that's a big screen, right? I had my QuickBooks open, and then I have my Excel crunching numbers, and here I had YouTube playing Baby Shark on automatic. You remember that song? Baby Shark, do 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 do. That's what was keeping my son entertained, so I could get some more work done. Mind you, it was 8 p.m. at night. I was supposed to be doing his bedtime routine. And there I was, working. And for a moment, I looked at my son in the eyes, and what I saw was, Mom, I need you. That's what I heard from the inside. But most importantly, I saw in his eyes that little girl. I saw myself craving for my parents' attention as I grew up. I realized I was repeating a pattern in my family. The thing that I was avoiding in the first place, I was just doing it in automatic. And I confused proximity with presence. Proximity is not the same as being present. And if you are a mom, a parent in the room, or even if you have a family member that has been questioning you, why are you not coming to dinner? Why are you not showing up for the party that we invited you? Why are you so distracted on your phone all the time because we're trying to get work done? This is what it looks like. Proximity is not the same as presence. And hard work alone doesn't create a profitable business. And I wanted to share this personal story because for me it's so deep. And this is what really drives me to do the work I do today and make sure that business owners create profitable business, not only for the financial side, but for the personal side as well. Let me go to, actually, how this relates to my thing is because I realized that the whole accounting thing was a great foundation. That's what I did it to help my parents, but it was not enough. It was not enough for me to be successful, to be present with my son. So that's why I went into learning Profit First and getting certified, learning clockwork, and this is more about processes and systems and delegating. It's beyond the scope of what we're gonna do today, but I learned that too because nobody taught me that, right? QuickBooks, of course, but have you heard of neurolinguistic programming? I actually got certified in neurolinguistic programming because what I realized in entrepreneurship is that a lot of the decisions that drive our business are really deeper, right? When I understood why my mom never paid attention to me, when I told her the inventory that she was buying was not the right thing to buy, When I learned about NLP, I understood why my mom was just buying stuff that she didn't need, and how the scarcity and the mindset and all of things influence on how she managed the inventory in the store. So I got to see things from a deeper level. And money and the financial relationship with money is very emotional. I gotta tell you that. I'm not a therapist officially, but I do gotta tell you that sometimes the coaching sessions with my client feel like a therapy session, because it's deep. It's deep. In the process, I have invested close to $200,000 in mentorship, in certifications, in programs, because it's more than accounting. It's deeper than that, and I get it, all right? So that's what has allowed me to be a present mom, to work less hours, to really lead my team. We're all fully remote, and this is a roadmap for today. Today, we're gonna cover the solutions for the 3 profit leagues that I showed you earlier. It's what I call the profit league framework. And it has 3 parts, right? Number 1, we're gonna look at the financial blueprint. We're gonna design your numbers. Then we're gonna look at value pricing and how that relates with what we just learned about the ascension model. And then how the money flows in your business with the profit first system. And this is where I told you, and we made the agreement earlier, let's get to work, because this is hands-on exercise. Very first thing, I need you to scan this QR code. It's gonna take you to a calculator, some sort of app, that I'm gonna open when you're all ready, so we can do this exercise together. Oh, I'm in the middle. All right, everybody got it? Is it working? Yes? Take your time. This is our time. Here we're gonna calculate something very important. Your target income and what is the value of your time. And I'm making it easier for you guys. I could have brought the spreadsheet, but I'm making it easy. This app, if you haven't heard about it, it's actually called Lovable, and you can do magic with Lovable. So let me walk you through how we're gonna use it today. One second. Yeah, I want to open it. Can you click on the show? I'm going to open it on my phone as well. So the first thing you see, and what they put it on the screen, right? We're going to enter in the very first field. The first little square that you see is your current personal income. How much money did you take from your business in the past 12 months to support your personal lifestyle? Think about it, and we will enter that number. Whatever that is, this is an individual exercise. You don't have to share. This is very personal. But let's be honest and real with where we're at. What is your current personal income? And we're going to put it for the entire year. If you're starting out, it's okay. Just put whatever the amount is. And that's going to be the first number. Current personal income. There it is. But maybe I don't need the presenter view. I think that's what's missing. I think so. Because I don't see it there. So the next question, and I'm gonna be walking around so I can support you if you have questions. Make sure, is it working for you? Yeah? The app? Okay, let me put it back in this. That's what it opened?
Is that it?
No, let me take a picture of this. This is the QR code. So the next question is, was that enough? And it's a yes or no question, right? There it is. How much money you took from your business? Oh no. No, that's not it. You got it? But now it opened the calculator. Let me. Let me get it for you. Here it is. All right. So your current personal income, you put the amount, and then the next question is, did this income fully support your personal lifestyle, your personal financial goals? And it's just a yes or no question. You can just choose what that is. And the next part, I want you to spend some time on. And if it's just to calibrate what your goals are, right? When you click on the category, it's gonna open a list. And that list is just making you think about what are the other things financially that you want your business to support. Your retirement, investing, emergency fund, your children's education. You know, there is a travel, home purchase. Think about, and if it's not in that list, you can choose other, but I want you to think, what are the other things that maybe your business is not supporting right now, but I want you to think of what your financial goals are. To take home your personal financial goals. If money was not a problem, and let's think beyond survival. If money was not a problem, how much will you take in an annual basis towards any of these categories? And if it's easier for you, you can write it down on the paper and then just put the total amount so we do the calculation. But this is the things that we don't take the time to think about when we are designing our numbers, when we're thinking about our business. How much do you want to take home? What is it that you want to accomplish? So you choose the different categories, you put an amount, and then as you do that, you can add more, and I'm going to give you have access to. This is the type of exercise that I encourage you to go back and actually expand, because I'm sure now you're thinking about some other things, but then you go home and you're like, wait a second, I didn't include that I want to retire my parents. I didn't include that I want my son to go to a private school. I didn't include, their dreams, and I want you to think beyond survival. You can always add more, all right? So when you put those numbers, it's gonna give you, and this is where I'm making the job very easy for you. Let me put, I was gonna do an example, but how can you do that without seeing it on the screen? Maybe stop the presenter view, maybe that's what's happening. Because I wanna show you on the screen the example. Can I escape? No. Can we stop the presenter view?
You want to go which one?
Yeah, and show. Maybe that does it. But it takes this. it was a link, but I thought it was gonna be able to open the internet. It's okay. Where are you guys at with your number? Did you get what is your income goal when you add what you're paying today and how much you want? Did you get the what it says income target? Do you all have a number? Yes? Okay, perfect. Now, what it does next is very eye-opening because, yeah, I might want to go back. Because this part, we reverse engineer. You have your personal financial goal, and it automatically puts owner's compensation at 30%, right? You could, let's enter 100,000 just to put an example in the income. 100,000. Like, let's add more zeros. I could do 1,000,000, but just to keep it simple. Okay, let's go down. So you put the numbers, go down, go down. It's gonna give you what your current personal income is. Let's say right now is 0, but I have a goal of taking home $100,000, and that's gonna give me my personal income target. When you go down, that doesn't work. The session 2 is gonna reverse engineer your personal financial goal to get your business revenue goal. So it's the second session. Go down a little bit. So your personal income, you got it, based on 30% owners a percentage of the allocation. What this calculation is telling you that you have to sell $333,000 in order to take home $100,000. All right? If we're putting it in a way that if 30% of my business revenue is my compensation, reverse engineer. So now you got a target. How does that look like in a monthly basis? How does that look like in a weekly basis? We need to know where we're at. We need to know where we want to be in order to drive the path to get there, right? So this gives us clarity. And sometimes people say, okay, so how much you want to sell? Well, I don't know. Well, when you have clear how much you want to take home, you can reverse engineer so when you're setting your offers, it's aligned with how much revenue you want to bring in the business. And we're going to get there when we talk about value pricing, right? But is that helpful when you have that clarity? This is just the beginning. Let's go to the next step. Because now that you have clear what your personal income goal is, how much business revenue you have to bring in the business to get there, we're gonna look at the value of your time. And we do this calculation based on the business revenue. Because as Andy said, and we all hear, you cannot get to $1 million doing $10 type of activities. So what is the real value of your time? The way this works is gonna take your business revenue goal that we reverse engineer at the top. It's gonna ask you how many hours do you wanna work per week? And please, let's just put 30 hours because that's my goal, 30 or less, so you can change the number. What is your goal? Realistically, we might be working more than that today, but what is the goal? So if I want to work 30 hours a week, my business to generate $300,000, how many weeks do you want to take off in the year? And this is important for you to consider because when you become your own boss, you don't give yourself time off. Where is the vacation? You get sick, the holidays, the kids don't have school, whatever that is. Things happen. So we want to plan and look at the value of our time, taking into account that if we had a job, we could have some sort of paid time off. And we want this to be paid. We want the business to pay for your vacation and for the time that you're taking off the business. So let's put, how many weeks do you want to take off per year? We can plan for it. 10. Okay, let's just put 10. Right? We can plan for it. So work 30 hours a week. Take 10 weeks off in the year. What is the value of my time per hour? And this is low because I was very conservative on the amount of money that I want to take home. I just put 100,000. But if we have bigger dreams and we want this $1 million paycheck, this is going to be eye-opening. When you see that the value of your time is $200, $300, $500, $1,000 an hour, you're going to start questioning your decisions around pricing and around how you use your time. Yeah? Now, I don't want you to see it per hour. I want you to see it per week. I want you to see it per month, because that means that ideally should be your paycheck. That's what we're working towards, right? So looking at the value of your time is going to bring us this conversation around value pricing. Go down a little bit, because this is like the little intro that I have for you and how it connects with what we just learned about the ascension model. Andy told you about the entry, the core, and the premium offer, right? So the way, could you go to the next session? Value pricing. The way this calculator is set up, it takes you back to your annual revenue goal for the business, right? That we reverse engineer. It's gonna ask you, how many clients do you currently serve per year? How many clients do you serve? So for purposes of this exercise, I'm gonna put 30. 30, and you can enter the number, I think. Yeah? Yes. All right, so let's say I'm serving 30 clients per year. What is the current annual investment per year of your client? Meaning, how much your clients pay you in a yearly basis, right? And it depends on the service you provide, but let's think of the average. So for purposes of this exercise, I'm gonna put 8,000, right? It could be some monthly plans, some of them, and honestly, these numbers look very close to where my business is today. I'm being very transparent. This is really the reality of close to where I am right now. So the annual investment is 8. That means that my estimated revenue, if I have 30 clients and they pay me $8,000 a year, I'm gonna sell $240,000 if that's my core offer. There is a gap between where I'm at and where I want to be. How do we close that gap? And that's gonna take us to the next session. What is the ideal annual investment of your client? Meaning, right now they're paying me $8,000 a year, but ideally, I want to raise my prices and I want my core offer to be at $15,000, for example. So if I do $15,000, this is going to open up the next table. And I'm so excited because this is the type of things that is very different to see it in an Excel spreadsheet than when you do all these automations, right? And I really invite you to take this link home and play with it and see how the numbers will look like for you. Because what that means, you saw what we just learned about the ascension model? The entry, the core, and the premium? This is the reality of your planning, right? If my core offer is 15,000, that means that in a monthly basis it's around 1,500 that the clients are gonna pay me. That means I can accomplish that with 23 clients a year. Is that doable? Seems easy, right? Yeah. But guess what? If I, instead of 15, I'm only selling them at 7,500, same client, that means I need 45 clients. And then if we look at the premium, I will only need 9 clients if I get them at the top tier. So playing with this is gonna give us the reality of not only our pricing, but our capacity. Our capacity. And you can now plan your ascension model taking into account what that would take. Of course, it's very different when you have one-on-one versus group coaching. You could make $1,000 an hour in a group coaching format. But those of us that are still doing one-on-one, this is eye-opening, okay? This is eye-opening. So I think that is the tool. When you go down, you can always go down, download this report. Once you play with it, it's gonna give you the option to download it. And I wanna dish a little bit on this aspect, like MDS style. What have you discovered when you're looking at your personal income target, reverse engineering, and the value of your time?
Thank you. Thank you for your hard work on this. This is excellent. One thing I definitely have experienced the leaky bucket and have realized that just pouring more water in, you can work, and still not have any profit. So I just appreciate that visual, but also not flying blind is something where I have been forcing myself, challenging myself this year to actually like pay attention to the numbers. And something like this though is much more, well, what was on the screen, like the app is much more easier for me to digest than sometimes getting overwhelmed by spreadsheets. And so thank you for just kind of creating that framework. That's golden, very valuable, yes, Nay. So I just want to like point that out to you. So I'm gonna play around with the numbers, stop flying blind, and set some income targets. And now it's no longer overwhelming. So thank you.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. I told you, as I promised at the beginning, it doesn't have to be complicated. And with the tools that we have available today, we can make it way easier to digest. But most importantly is that you get the clarity. Because clarity then allows you to make decisions in alignment with where you want to get, right? Anybody else? Any other? You want to? I see you.
Listen, I've just been undervaluing my time. That is the biggest aha for me. And it's also brought up some feelings of, yeah, I've been a little bit resentful of some of the folks that I've been working with, but it's not their fault because I've been undercharging myself. So this was just so eye-opening. And again, like you said, Reverend Johnson, the app just made it so much more. And I'm a spreadsheet girl. I love a good spreadsheet, but this really just helped frame everything that I need to change. So thank you so much. This was eye-opening.
All right. I'm so glad it helped. This was just profit leak number 1. How much time we got? We got more time? Keep going. All right. Let me see, where is my clicker? Awesome. I'm glad. And thank you all for sharing. We did this part, and I want you to also process it as you go back to the room or go home. These are the things that wake you up, but then it allows you to, play with it and, and make decisions around it. Really think about your personal goals, because everything around in your business, we're gonna reverse engineer to get there, all right? So that takes us to value pricing. And value pricing is where when we have the clarity of the value of our time, and it's $500, $1,000 an hour, it doesn't mean that you're gonna send an invoice to the client and say, I'm gonna start charging $100 or $1,000 an hour from now on. I mean, it doesn't work like that. You could at some point, but the way you present your offer is very strategic. And when you're providing a service, value pricing is very intentional, because what we do is that we separate it in 3 tiers. But before we get there, I want to clarify that your pricing is gonna determine how many clients you can take. It's gonna determine how much time you have, and it's gonna determine how much profit you keep. It determines how you also feel about your business. Pricing is such a driven factor, but I gotta tell you something else. Pricing also is not only a math. It's not just the math. It has to do with your own inner work and how you value yourself. So it's deeper, right? It's deeper, but that's another topic. That's why I got into the NLP situation, right? Hourly pricing, and it could be that you're sending an invoice and say, okay, my hourly rate is this much, this is how many hours I spent, and you're billing by the hour. Or you're giving a fixed price and you're calculating the price based on more or less how much time it's gonna take you to do it. The problem with doing it that way is that it puts a ceiling on your income. You're exchanging time for money. And for doing that, I might as well go back and get the job, because that's what they do when you have a job. They pay you for your time, right? As a business owner, we can do things differently. And we have to think of what is the outcome for our client and what is that outcome worth for them. When I think of, and using the example of the community, and when I was able to work with Cliff on setting up, revamping the entire accounting system, Cliff literally, and we were in a retreat, he sit me down, he said, Yasnai, I need you. Because I just hired somebody and I don't think they know what they're doing. Like, this is a mess. So when I think of it and how I was able to not only clean it up, but help him find the right team member, help him set up for the business as it was growing so fast, what is that worth for him? It's deeper. It's deeper. So when you think of the value pricing, it's related somehow with what we learned about the ascension model. You have an entry, core, and premium. And the way I set up the calculator is when you do the math, it's gonna give you the core and reverse engineer to give you more or less the price for the entry and the premium. Simple math, we want the core and the entry to be about half the price of that, and the premium to be like 2.5, right? You want to present the offer in a way that the premium is shocking and it anchors the price, and they're like, oh no, this will be too much. But the core is not enough for what they really need. So really you want to structure it in a way that the core is what's really solving the problem. This is an art and a science, I gotta tell you that. The way you present, the way you structure, I have a whole template to do the value pricing presentation to your clients, because you put the features, what are the difference between the three levels. This is an art and a science, and I wish I had more time to really go deeper, but at least I wanted to do an introduction. And I really was hoping that this video worked, because Yamal, he was part of this community, he's an alumni, and I had the opportunity to do a coaching session with him. After 2 hours, his mind was like, when we got to put this in practice for his practice, he's a therapist, right? And let's see if it works. So Yamal, he actually had a huge transformation thanks to Andy's coaching, because Andy took him to this shift between hourly versus packaging, right? So he started packaging the services and say, no, instead of hourly, now I'm gonna do this many sessions, and this is the price for the package. So he started selling by number of sessions. What we did was like, wait a second. Your offers is not only the sessions what you're selling. What is the difference in the access that the clients have to you? Like one of the features, are you going to respond to them within 24 hours or within 48 to 72 hours? Or you're gonna take 5 days to respond? You wanna set some boundaries on the level of access that they have to you. Are you also providing like some in-person sessions? Like, do you have emergency calls? Are you, in his case, we did the example with a patient that he was gonna also have session with the parents because he was a teenager. He was gonna talk to the coach at the school. I'm like, all of that is included? You have to differentiate it and say, if I get to do the sessions with your parents, oh, this is part of the core. But if I'm gonna talk to the coach, this is in the premium. So let's see if that plays. What is your biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway is the science and the art of how to structure the different tiers, the different levels of care, right? I'm offering a higher standard of care, which translates into higher value. And there's a science and the art to how you structure the different tiers, different levels. And you want the middle one to be the ideal, and the premium or the highest level of the value to be like, some people would do that, they're out there. If then you want the lowest level to be, you want it to be like an obvious choice to go with the middle tier. So you really broke down the science and the art and the psychology, the math. You also helped me think about my dream schedule. 3 clinical days, 1 admin day, 1 marketing day. Or just 3 clinical days and do whatever I want the other days.
Exactly.
So, yeah, this was amazing. What a gift.
Oh, I'm grateful. I'm grateful. This is gonna change the game. So thank you for trusting me.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking so much time and attention to detail. And I can feel the love, the care, and the such high level of professionalism that you have. So.
Oh, thank you, my dear. I haven't seen that video in a while, and I forgot that we had a deep conversation about the dream schedule, precisely for what I told you about the value of the time, and how many hours do you want to work, and how much time you want to take off. So it's like time blocking, and he created those clinical days, and I forgot we spoke about that, and this is all part of value pricing. This is all part of how you structure your packages. What I'm gonna do, and I want to share some resources so you can see examples of how that looks like, and then you can have the template. All right. So, value pricing, profit leak number 2. What's next? I don't remember my slides. Any takeaway about value pricing, and how do you see it applied in your business?
This will be yes, absolutely. This will be a game changer for especially younger people who are thinking of becoming self-employed, because oftentimes they're undervalued. We don't know how to price the business, and as far as how much time you're putting in and your proximity to the clients, that's huge. And I thought of what you were saying. I had a flashback of when I had a bar and a nightclub. If I knew this before, I would have made much more money, or I would have closed it down faster. So yes, I see how this could really apply.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Spencer.
It just seems like it's human nature to kind of get into the thing that you're good at, turn it into a business. We all manage to do that. And then you've got your goals and your big dreams. Maybe you want to be standing on a beach, and you want to have a certain car and a certain size home. And so you work hard. You get in there and you bear down, you work hard, and then you quick check, is the car behind me? Is the house behind me? Am I on a beach? And then you go, no, I'm not. Work hard. And this seems to just look at it holistically and not just try to arrive at it by elfin magic. I'll just work hard plus a little magic, and I'm sure these things will happen because I see other people doing it, and they're kind of doing the same content as me. They're selling the same type of services, so I should be able to just kind of work hard and get there that way. And then the thing about value pricing specifically is that congruency that we all look for to go, well, it tends to be a conversation like, well, this is what I charge because I have feelings, and then Andy told me to raise it, and I have feelings about Andy, and so I guess I'll raise it, right? And this is just like, no, don't work backwards from your coach bugging you, and or your insecurities about how much you're worth. Figure, what life do you want? Okay, how much does the boat cost? How much does it cost to stand on the beach? How many weeks do you want to stand on that beach? What car do you want? How much does that cost? What's your insurance? Plug it all in. Okay, that's what your price needs to be. And then as everything changes, you go, oh, what's too big in my formula? What's too small? Oh, too many hours working, or I'm not charging enough, and just play with it until you dial it in. That's so satisfying. It makes me feel like it's the universe is all working together that you're creating, instead of you're hoping to luck into it.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, there is as Yamal said, this is an art and a science. But we can combine both and make it in alignment with the life that we want. Whatever that means to you. Like, one of my big goals financially is to afford for my son to go to a private school. Like, I've been in a private school for years now. He's going to first grade. I'm like, oh my gosh, that Montessori doesn't have that option. What's the next step? Because I had a very bad experience, in my case, with the public school system, right? So it all depends on what is important to you. But it does take money to live in this society, It does take money for us to serve at the level we want to serve. And people need us. They need what we have to offer. And we're here for the people we're called to serve. But we cannot do it from an empty cup. And it takes profit. it takes profit. So your pricing is gonna support your income goals. It's gonna attract the type of clients that value the transformation, not just the time. Your pricing attracts the right clients for you. And as Andy said, doesn't make it wrong to have a business model that you have a low ticket, but just know that if you have a low ticket offer, you have to make it up with volume. And when you do that, you need to have the processes and the systems and the automations for the volume to work without depending on your time. It's possible. It's just understanding the business model. You can evolve from being a technician to a real business owner. Because the transferable skills that we had when we had a job doesn't always apply to the business. We were rewarded to work hard in our job. We were rewarded for the effort, for the time that we put in. In business, it's the opposite. You want to be able to get to the point that you get so good at delegating that you focus on the highest level activities that are in alignment with the value of your time. Yes. If you are the one doing the social media and the PowerPoint and answering the calls and sending the emails and all of that, who's gonna sell? Who's gonna bring the money? Yes, you wanna sell $1 million, but who's bringing it? So align the activities that you do with the value of your time. And it's so easy nowadays to find help, to integrate tools, right? And your business, and this is why I go so deep, your business reflects your growth as a leader. It takes to shift that mindset of being an employee to being the leader. So it's no longer about doing the work. It's about delegating, not only the task. It's not about, okay, do this and do that and do that. We all get in that, and that's a whole nother training about clock working. But designing the business. What you're doing here today is designing. It's taking the time to really, design. Your business should be paying you for this time too, right? So let's go next. Where is my clicker? Okay, that was like Jamal. So that's take us into, I think we went over that. Jamal, this is a lot, okay. This takes us into profit first. Oh my gosh, you remember the paycheck, right? My very smart friend using grandma's advice to hide the money from himself so he can see the profit. Profit first is the pillar number 3, and this is how money flows through your business. And it's what allows us to see the profit intentional instead of just being an accident, right? We reverse engineer, we understand the value of their time. Let's implement a system that's going to make profit consistent, and that is profit first. Yes. So the difference between the profit first system, and I gotta tell you, I'm an accountant. I learned the traditional accounting formula at school, and the traditional accounting formula tells you revenue minus expenses equal profit. But the profit in that old way is an afterthought. It's like, if there is money left, I'm gonna pay myself. If there is money left, then I can do this. The new way, and in the profit first system, we are shifting that formula. Revenue minus profit equals expenses. When you do that, the profit runs, the business is gonna run with what is left, with what remains, not necessarily. You're gonna put the money aside. And let me show you how this works. This is a formula. In the traditional way, the revenue comes in, you pay the expenses, and whatever is left is your profit. Now, whatever is left in accounting, maybe not because you pay taxes on it and you don't really see the money. One of the common questions I see, and I think I told you from that client, is like, where is the money if I see a profit in my taxes, right? But this is the accounting way of doing it. The profit first, you're gonna take your profit first before expenses, before anything happens in your business, you're gonna take your profit. And it forces discipline. It makes profit non-negotiable. And you might think, and how does that work? How can I take my profit first? Guys, this is beyond just the logic side of things. This is science. This is the Parkinson law, and the human behavior explains how we increase our demand. Like, let me read it literally. Like, our demand upon a resource tends to expand to match the supply of that resource. That's Parkinson's law. What does that mean? It applies in different areas of our life. Like, think of when we all brush our teeth every day, right? To avoid the dentist visit. What happens when you have a brand new toothpaste, like the tube? What happens when it's brand new? How much toothpaste do you put in the toothbrush when you have a brand new? Then, it goes in the sink, and you're like, I can have more, and then you just waste it because you see that you have enough. But then what happens when you're running out? Exactly. In Cuba, it was common practice that we would literally open the thing with a scissor and just scramble it. It's human behavior. We will limit based on the availability of the resources. That happens with the paper towels too. I'm always fighting with my husband because he's vegan and trying to protect the animals. I'm like, great, we're all vegan. But you're killing trees with the amount of paper towel that you're getting. And he does the same. Like when we have a lot, and then when we're running out, he gets the little, he reuses it. Then he gets the towel. I'm like, you can't do that. You don't have to waste it and get the whole, It's Parkinson's law.
You know what I love about the Parkinson's law? And I'm happy you brought that up because I've been trying to apply it to my life. When you have a heavy supply of time, you have a project that's due in 2 months. You know it's very important. You got to get it done. It's 2 months. It's 2 months away. You got some time.
Yep.
And then you procrastinate because you're wasteful. You're wasteful with your time, right? And so that week comes. Okay, I really gotta get ready to knock it out. You don't do it though. But you made a commitment. This week I gotta do it. The morning is when it's due, or whatever it is, right? That night, generally, you may not always get the highest quality, but it's desperate when you will actually block out, do not bother me, I have to get this done. Generally, you can focus, right, because there's no wiggle room,
Yep.
right, so you gotta get in there and get the work done. So I've been trying to psych myself out in ways where I don't procrastinate like I used to, so I've been focusing on Parkinson's law on that level. I just wanted
Oh
to
yeah, it applies to time 100%. And we all did it. When they gave us the school projects and they told us it's due at the end of the semester. When did we really get to work on the project? Just tell me about it. I went to sleep at 3:30 in the morning and they told me about this presentation 3 weeks ago. And just yesterday is when I took the time to really review it and then change everything. you know, it's human behavior. So the profit first system and looking at it from the perspective of the Parkinson's law, we're not changing our natural human behavior. We're just understanding that's how it is because it applies to our resources, it applies to time, it applies to money. It applies to money. The more money in the account, the more we're gonna spend. We just find a way to use the money. I don't know how. It's not a discipline problem. It's a human behavior problem. And if we just understand human behavior, we can work around it. Like you're doing now, blocking time, but we always have the tendency to wait a little long. Profit First is designed to work with the human nature, not against it. All right? So how does this apply to food? Have you ever thought of when you go to a buffet and you get a big plate? What a big difference it makes if you get a smaller plate. And you will automatically serve yourself less. It's human nature. It applies to money. And this, let's see, maybe I have the issue with the testimonial. I'm gonna play all the testimonials at the end. so we go through this. The 5 Profit First accounts and how the Parkinson law applies to profit and to the way we manage the money is using Parkinson's law. If we see all the money in one account, we're gonna have this perception that we have a lot of it, right? And we're gonna find a way to spend it. So the different bank accounts serve as those envelopes, as that way to get a smaller place, right? You go to the buffet, your income account is your buffet. But let's transfer to the smaller plate so we're gonna eat in smaller portions. We're gonna tell the money where to go. And we're going to put profit first. How that works, you have multiple bank accounts. This is like having different envelopes. It's not challenging nowadays with the banking system we have. There's a lot of options with online banks that are not gonna charge you the monthly fees. We cannot find reasons why we don't wanna deal with multiple bank accounts, but it works. And it doesn't work in a spreadsheet. It works separating the money physically because we are working with Parkinson's law, right? So a percentage of all your income is allocated to profit. Wow, you're looking. Yes, looking good. So the profit in your business represents like the bonus that you're gonna pay yourself as the shareholder of who you are. Like imagine if you were to invest in Amazon, for example. You become an investor, they're gonna send you your dividends in a quarterly basis, in an annual basis, because they reward you for investing in their business. Now, I want you all to see yourself as an investor of your own business. And profit becomes that bonus that you're gonna pay yourself every quarter for all the rewards and the effort that you make. Profit is not your owner's compensation. Let me clarify that. We're gonna have a separate account for your compensation. Because if you were to hire somebody to do everything you do in your business, do you think they're gonna do it for free? No. So we have to look at your compensation as an expense, a regular expense, a fixed expense of your business, and it's separate. As an owner of your business, you are both an employee and a shareholder. So you're gonna pay yourself compensation and profit. But we're gonna have it separate to have it very clear. Taxes. Oh, taxes. It's so much easier when you get your tax bill. Like, this is a reality. The moment you start making profit, you're gonna get a tax bill. Unless you get to the point that you can always do the tax strategies and whatnot. But the reality is that paying taxes is a sign of profitability. I love to get a tax bill. Then I have to talk to the tax planner, right? But that means that my business is profitable. But it's so much easier when we have the money aside. And we're not worried about whether we have the money to pay it or not. The tax money is not our money. It's not. So we just separate it. A percentage of all our income goes to the tax account. It accumulates there, and when the tax bill comes, we're ready. We're ready. And then the remainder goes to operating expenses. You see how the sequence is intentional? You put the profit first, you pay yourself, you put the money aside for taxes, and what is left, then you pay your bills. And this is Parkinson's law in action. You're gonna make it work. You're gonna make it work. This is the envelope system in the modern world. We have multiple bank accounts. And every time the money comes in, you allocate a percentage towards the different accounts. This process literally takes me, I do it on a weekly basis, it takes me less than 5 minutes. I do have a spreadsheet, I gotta tell you that. I have a whole template because I like to see it in my spreadsheet. But then I make the transfers in the bank too, because the spreadsheet alone is not doing the work of working with Parkinson's law, all right? We literally have to transfer the money, but those transfers take less than 5 minutes. And it was a game changer, because when you see that there is a gap, that there is not enough money to cover your operating expenses with this system, number one, we have to review the percentage allocations, and I'm gonna talk about that. But number two, your business is giving you a sign. Your business is telling you that your pricing is not sustaining your operations. And you have to confront that reality. When the money the math doesn't add up, what is the root? And it goes back to what we spoke about pricing. This, I want you to see it and then unsee it. Because this is like the suggested target percentage allocations. What this table is saying is that if you're selling up to $250,000 in column A, they suggest that all your money, 100% comes to the income account. You're gonna put 5% towards profit, 50% owner's pay, 15% taxes, and 30% operating expenses. And then the percentages change depending on your level of revenue. The reason why I want you to unsee it is because in reality, this doesn't work like that. If you read the book and you go and open the accounts and you start doing these percentages, it's gonna fail, and then you're gonna say the system doesn't work. But the reality is that we have to adapt the percentages with what your reality is today, and then adjust it little by little. I remember my very first client years ago. He was my guinea pig implementing Profit First. His operating expenses, looking at the reality of his business, was like 80%. How come he's gonna set this and say, no, now I'm gonna put just 30% towards operating expenses? How are you gonna pay your bills? Now, we set it up at 80, and we start making adjustments in his finances to lower the expenses and increase his profitability. Again, had to do with pricing and had to do some cost adjustments that we had to make. To the point that he had a sales tax situation. I actually had to go to court with him because he had a tax debt with the sales taxes of over $50,000. Like they were gonna take him to jail if he didn't get to an agreement with the judge. And this system changed the game for him. I do it in a weekly basis. They recommend to do it weekly or every 2 weeks. He loved this so much that he did it every single day. But he had a more of a volume business, right? So see it, unsee it, because this is why the professional help influences to get the right allocation percentages for you and apply it to your business, all right? So profit using this system becomes a habit. It is a habit, not an event. And I'm gonna go a little faster because it took a little longer. This client in particular, she had a situation with the taxes as well. And his testimonial, even though I'm not gonna play it, is that Profit First for her changed the game because yes, she was selling more, but having the tax money aside really transformed the way she managed her finances. Oh, that's Felix. That was the client I was telling you about. She showed me Profit First and, all of that. I'm very bad at collecting testimonials. I'm trying to improve. That's why with Maria Angelica, I asked her the other day, and she sent me like a 17-minute video. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to split it into 3 because in her case, we have seen a transformation in different areas of her business. We did the accounting, we did Profit First, we did clockwork. So yeah, I'm doing my best. But I want to address this myth, and this is extremely important. Many people think that to implement Profit First, you need to sell more. You need to have a profit to do Profit First. And it doesn't work that way. The moment you implement Profit First and you separate even 1% of your income, you put aside in your profit account, guess what? You have a profit of a business. That's it. So you don't have to wait to implement it. You don't need to make it complicated. No, Profit First is not an accounting system. It's a cash flow management system. It's not going to replace your accounting system, but it's going to help you manage the cash flow and put profit first. And this, I do want to play this video because this is important. This is a myth that the author of Profit First actually busted, and I want you to hear it directly from Mike McAllowitz. I didn't say it, he said it. Let's see.
I'm Mike McAllowitz, the author of Profit First, and I'm here to bust a Profit First myth. We have over 500,000 companies and growing daily who are doing Profit First and more profitable than ever before. I want to do the same for you. The myth that's out there is, now that I read the book, I can simply just do this myself. And there's no question, I put all of my knowledge in that book. We're able to set it up. But it is powerful to have an accountability partner, someone who has lots of experience with Profit First and can direct you through it. That's why I strongly suggest a Profit First professional. It's kind of like working out in the gym. You can definitely go and work out in the gym on your own. Are you doing the right exercises, and will you hold yourself accountable? Will you show up, come hell or high water? But if you hire a trainer, will you behave differently? Will you do the right exercises, ensuring that you don't get injured? Will they have a higher level of accountability for you? Will they be able to show you new ways and new processes because they're working with hundreds of other clients? Quite possibly true. And that's our experience with Profit First professionals too. Their exposure to working with a large set of data about starting clients and accounting data can give you some strategic direction and moves to make. Also, it's the ultimate level of accountability. So, want to do Profit First right? I do encourage you to consider a Profit First professional.
And then just one more less than 30-second video, and it's just very close to my heart now that you got to meet Mike. the author of the book. I've had the opportunity to just share space with him in a few events, and this was the last time I saw him at the Camp Clockwork. Is the next one. I shop it off a little bit because he attempted to speak Spanish in the original one. And I'm like, well, let me have the English version for this group.
So like Gallo's key is remarkable. She's teaching professors and software. I'll tell you, if you own a business, she's your gal. Work with her. Mucho gusto.
That was so unexpected when I met him and I told him, Mike, I've been resisting this, you know, how I wanted to help more, how I wanted to share the system, how I wanted to also bring it to the Spanish-speaking community. And I just shared it with him, and then all of a sudden he did that. And I'm like, wow, this is huge, you know? So thank you. I am running out of time. But I do want to leave you, let me just skip to the last part, because I think you got the point. What do you guys think about Profit First? Huh? Yeah? That makes sense? Parkinson's law, remember? So when all three pillars are aligned, that's when profit becomes intentional, sustainable, not accidental. So what I want to leave you, this is Maria Angelica again. Remember the 17-minute video testimonial? I try to shop it off. Today, and I want to bring this because this is Andy's, oh wait, that was this. I want to bring this up using Andy's storytelling and the point that he makes. You remember when he took us in the Story into Profit Life, and even every time we get with him and he talks us about swimming, and how today you learned the theory of how to swim. And I just want to have the disclaimer, because I don't want to be responsible for any casualties in this room, all right? Today, I gave you the theory of how to swim. Today, I even got in the pool with you for the first lesson. You got to test the app, right? You got a lot of clarity. Do not get in the pool. I am not responsible for your casualty, all right? So I just wanted to say that. And then I did this before. Andy gave his class about limiting my time and the ascension model and all of that, but for this room, your family, and I want to have a conversation with you if you want to go deeper, if you want to get clarity on how to implement Profit First and value pricing. My intention is in this link, what you're going to see is a 20-minute conversation, right? But the first 5 people that book it, we're going to have an initial conversation to get some insights, and we're going to actually book a free 90 minutes coaching session to really go deep into this. And this is what I did with Jamal in 90 minutes. I think if I get to do it with you, you're going to get to see transformation. So this is the link. Happy to help. And thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Let's give it up for Yasmin. Let's give it up.